Alexander Green has been making waves with his bold new claim. He believes Apple is about to launch something bigger than the original iPhone, and one $25 Apple supplier will explode as a result. Green claims it will explode 3,000% or more. In this video, I reveal the stock being pitched so you don't have to pay Alex thousands for the ticker. No paid or proprietary info is given away, and it's all guesswork based on clues in a publicly available sales presentation. Before we do anything, let's look at Green's recent track record. In November 2024, Green recommended 3 microcaps he claimed had 10x potential. The first was Warby Parker, and the stock is up a bit in the last 10 months. The second stock was Star Surgical, and it's break even after a recent surge. Sabre was the third stock, and this stock is down pretty significantly. Fortuna Mining was another microcap recommended in November 2024, and this stock is up pretty significantly. Green picked Grail back in April 2025, and we covered it on this channel when he did. The stock is up a bit since. Also, in April 2025, Green pitched Summit Therapeutics, and it's about break even. Let's shift back to the new presentation now. Here's the basic pitch. Apple is allegedly working on Project Orion, a satellite internet system that will connect every iPhone to satellites in space, providing internet access anywhere on Earth. They claim Apple has partnered with a small company that owns exclusive spectrum rights, and this partnership could revolutionize connectivity while making early investors incredibly wealthy. The presentation makes some bold promises. Apple will announce Project Orion on September 9, 2025. The partner company is 800 times smaller than Apple. Apple invested $1.5 billion for a 20% stake. The technology is already built into over 1 billion iPhones, potential returns of 3,000% or more by 2030. This could be bigger than the original iPhone launch. Let's look at some of these claims and fact-check them now. Here's what I found. There really is a September 9, 2025 Apple event. Apple announced their awe-dropping iPhone event for that exact date, focused on the iPhone 17 launch. So the timing they mentioned is real. Also, iPhones do have satellite connectivity capabilities. Starting with the iPhone 14, Apple included satellite hardware that can connect to emergency services and basic messaging. The technology is real and it's already in hundreds of millions of devices. While some facts are accurate, the presentation spins them in misleading ways or makes claims that simply aren't supported by evidence. The biggest issue is the scope of current capabilities. The presentation claims there's hidden technology ready to provide full internet access anywhere on Earth. In reality, current iPhone satellite features are limited to emergency SOS and basic messaging. There's no evidence that Apple is about to flip a switch and suddenly provide full satellite internet to every iPhone user. Additionally, there actually is a satellite internet revolution happening right now. Companies like SpaceX's Starlink, Amazon's Project Kuiper, and others are launching thousands of satellites to provide global internet coverage. The market opportunity is real and potentially massive. However, the presentation tries to position Apple's approach as superior to Starlink, but they're solving different problems. Starlink provides high-speed internet to fixed locations using specialized equipment. Apple's satellite features provide emergency connectivity using existing iPhones. Both have value, but they're not direct competitors in the way the presentation suggests. Here's the specific clues Green left us for the stock he's pitching. Apple's a fantastic company. I still own my shares. But at $3 trillion, the math doesn't work for truly life-changing gains. To double from here, Apple would need to become a $6 trillion company. That's bigger than the entire economy of Japan. So while yes, I think Apple is still a great company, its stock is not where the biggest upside will be here. And here's where it gets interesting. Apple can't do this alone. They need a partner. And that partner is tiny. We're talking about a company that's over 800 times smaller than Apple. This company's entire market cap is less than what Apple generates in revenue in 3 days. Green continues and says, yet this small partner has something Apple desperately needs, a set of assets that are critical to Project Orion. You can't just buy these assets. They're like beachfront property. Once they're gone, they're gone. But this small company got in early and snapped them up. That's why Apple's quietly invested $1.5 billion in this partner, owning about 20% of it. And finally, he says, but Apple's partner uses a special type called low Earth orbit satellites. These are positioned just 300 to 1,250 miles up. Compare that to GPS satellites, which travel at an altitude of more than 12,000 miles, and they act like cell towers in the sky. These are already in orbit, and with many more in the pipeline. I'm going to reveal the stock in 15 seconds, but before I do that, I want to remind you to sign up for my free report on the top 10 stocks to buy and hold forever. This report comes with no gimmicks, no get-rich-quick nonsense, just solid, long-term investments you can actually feel confident owning. Click the link in the description to get your copy right now. The company being pitched here is Globalstar, which Apple has invested more than $1 billion in. Here's what to know about this stock, and after I'll tell you if I'd buy. Globalstar, NASDAQ, GSAT, operates a low Earth orbit satellite network that delivers mobile messaging, IoT tracking, and legacy voice and data services. In addition to its satellite operations, The company owns licensed 2.4 GHz spectrum standardized as LTE band 53 and 5G N53, which can be used for private LTE and 5G deployments. In February 2025, Globalstar completed a 1-for-15 reverse stock split as part of its uplisting to the Nasdaq Global Select Market. Globalstar generates revenue through three main channels. Its most significant driver is the long-term partnership with Apple, which powers features such as emergency SOS, roadside assistance, and messages via satellite on iPhones. The company also sells IoT and SPOT devices that provide commercial tracking and safety messaging solutions for individuals and businesses. In addition, Globalstar licenses its 2.4 GHz band 53 spectrum for private LTE and 5G deployments, creating opportunities in enterprise and industrial connectivity. Globalstar's relationship with Apple is central to its business, anchored by a long-term service agreement that includes funding for network upgrades. In 2024, the partnership was expanded through $1.13 billion in additional prepayments from Apple and a 20% equity stake in a Globalstar subsidiary. This collaboration continues to deepen with iOS 18, which introduced messages via satellite, extending Globalstar's role beyond emergency use cases to everyday off-grid communication. Globalstar is advancing its next-generation C3 constellation, which will consist of 48 operational satellites with up to 6 additional spares to enhance resiliency and coverage. The company awarded a $1.1 billion contract to MDA Space to manufacture the satellites and selected SpaceX to handle launches. To support this expansion, Globalstar is also building new ground stations in the United States, Canada, Spain, and Japan, broadening its global network infrastructure. In the second quarter of 2025, Globalstar reported revenue of $67.1 million, an 11% increase compared to the prior year. Net income came in at $19.2 million, with adjusted EBITDA reaching $31.2 million. The company ended the quarter with $308 million in cash and $400 million in debt, and it reaffirmed its full year 2025 revenue guidance of $260 to $285 million. Under the leadership of CEO Paul Jacobs, former head of Qualcomm, Globalstar is pursuing a strategy focused on expanding into terrestrial 5G and strengthening its position in enterprise and defense markets. The company is projecting about $60 million in government contract revenue over the next 5 years, reflecting growing demand for secure and resilient communications. Strategic partnerships with Qualcomm, Nokia, and private 5G operators are central to this push, helping Globalstar broaden its reach beyond traditional satellite services. Globalstar faces increasing competition in the direct-to-device and mobile satellite services market. SpaceX, through its partnership with T-Mobile, has already launched direct-to-cell texting and is targeting a data rollout in 2025. AST SpaceMobile has demonstrated test calls and even video streaming with major partners like AT&T and Verizon, highlighting its progress toward broader commercial deployment. Meanwhile, Iridium remains a competitor in mobile satellite services, though it lost ground after Qualcomm ended support for its Snapdragon satellite initiative. Globalstar's near-term catalysts include the rollout of its C3 satellite constellation and expanded ground infrastructure, the broader adoption of Apple's satellite features, and growing traction for its N53 spectrum in private LTE and 5G ecosystems. At the same time, the company faces notable risks. Its revenue is heavily concentrated in Apple. The C3 program requires flawless execution to stay on schedule and budget. Competitors like Starlink and AST SpaceMobile are scaling aggressively, and regulatory hurdles for N53 spectrum remain a challenge across international markets. Globalstar offers a mix of opportunities and challenges for investors. On the upside, its long-term partnership with Apple provides a stable anchor. The next-generation constellation is largely funded. Its licensed mid-band spectrum is a rare asset, and enterprise and government contracts are building momentum. On the downside, the company remains heavily reliant on Apple, requires significant capital to execute its plans, and faces intensifying competition from much larger players in the direct-to-device space. Overall, Globalstar stands as a niche satellite operator with valuable assets but formidable big tech rivals. So what do I think about Globalstar? First off, you should be cautious about treating the Apple event as a guaranteed catalyst for a massive spike in the stock price. Sure, there's always a chance that something announced could push the stock higher, but I've reviewed hundreds of stock pitches over the years that were built entirely around speculation about what might happen at big events. It's almost always the same story. Nvidia is going to reveal a secret partner, or Apple is about to launch a new product and one supplier is going to explode in value. Most of the time, these predictions simply don't pan out. You have to look at Globalstar as a company, not just as a one-off event play. And as a company, it's genuinely interesting. It has a unique spectrum asset, a major anchor partnership with Apple, and a fully funded path to launch its next constellation. Those are real strengths. But the valuation right now feels stretched. A lot of the expected growth already seems baked into the stock price. Globalstar's stock also has a history of trading in cycles. It tends to spike on hype, pull back sharply, and then a year later repeat the pattern. Past price movements don't guarantee the same future outcome, but the pattern suggests this is a stock that gets investors excited and then often corrects back down to earth. If you're interested in Global Star, it might make sense to wait for one of those pullbacks to buy at a more reasonable entry point. And if Apple does end up announcing a broader satellite service that sends the stock soaring, then sure, I'll have egg on my face. But I'd rather be realistic than chase hype and get burned. Before you go, don't forget to grab my free report. The 10 stocks I believe you can buy today and hold forever. It's packed with solid long-term picks you won't hear hyped up anywhere else. Just click the link in the description, enter your email, and I'll send it straight to you. And if you like the idea of buying major companies, suppliers, and partners, check out this video from Weiss Ratings. They claim they found a $7 stock that will make NVIDIA's robotics dream come true.